Ingress API resource, which represents another layer of abstraction deployed in front of the service API resource. It offers a unified method of managing access to our applications from the external world. With services, routing rules are associated with a given service. They exist as long as the service exists, and there are many rules because there are many services in the cluster. If we can somehow decouple the routing rules from the application and centralize the rules management, we can then update our application without worrying about external access. This can be done using the Ingress resource. An Ingress is a collection of rules that allow inbound connection to reach the cluster services. To allow the inbound connection to reach the cluster services, Ingress configures a layer 7 HTTP/HTTPS load balancer for services and provides the TLS, that is the transport layer security, name-based virtual hosting, fan-out routing, load balancing, and it also allows some of the custom rules. With Ingress, users do not directly connect to the service. Users reach the Ingress endpoint, and from there, the request is forwarded to the desired service. The Ingress resource does not do any request forwarding by itself. It merely accepts the definitions of traffic routing rules. The Ingress is fulfilled by an Ingress controller. Let's now talk about the Ingress controller. In order for the Ingress resource to work, the cluster must have an Ingress controller. Unlike other types of controllers which run as part of the kube controller manager binary, Ingress controllers are not started automatically with the cluster. An Ingress controller is an application watching the master node's API server for the changes in the Ingress resources and updates the layer 7 load balancer. Kubernetes supports different Ingress controllers, and if needed, we can also build our own. GCE L7 load balancer controller and Nginx Ingress controller are commonly used Ingress controllers. Other controllers are Istio, Kong, and Traffic. You may deploy any number of Ingress controllers within a cluster. When you create an Ingress, you should annotate each Ingress with the appropriate ingress.class to indicate which Ingress controller should be used if more than one exists within your cluster. If you do not define a class, your cloud provider may use a default Ingress controller. Once the Ingress controller is deployed, we can create an Ingress resource using the kubectl create command. For example, if we create a virtual host Ingress YAML file with the name-based virtual hosting, then we can use kubectl create -f virtual host ingress.yaml. We can use this command to create the Ingress resource. And with the Ingress resource we just created, we should now be able to access the services using the service URLs, because we have used the name-based virtual hosting in our YAML file for our particular example we just spoke about. Let's talk about the load balancer. An Ingress controller is bootstrapped with some load balancing policy settings that it applies to all Ingress, such as the load balancing algorithm, backend wait scheme, and others. More advanced load balancing concepts, for example, persistent sessions, dynamic waits, are not yet exposed through the Ingress. You can instead get these features through the load balancer used for a service. It's also worth noting that even though health checks are not exposed directly through the Ingress, there exist parallel concepts in Kubernetes, such as readiness probes, that allow you to achieve the same end result. We have discussed about readiness probes and liveness probes in one of the previous episodes. If you want, you can check that out. To update an existing Ingress, you can just edit the Ingress and save the changes in the YAML file. kubectl updates the resource in the API server, which tells the Ingress controller to reconfigure the load balancer. As always, I have made these notes for myself, but seeing that there are other people listening to these notes, I hope you guys find it useful. If you just want to say hi or leave me a feedback, you can write to me at kubernetes@cent.com. Thanks.